Hi there, my name is Chef Justin Friedlich. My background is Italian, and today we're going to be making Margherita pizza at home. I'm going to be showing you how to make the pizza dough, the Pomodoro sauce, and how to get restaurant quality pizza at home. You're going to want to take your yeast, add it straight into your water, just mix it around. We want to activate it, we want to wake up the yeast. We're going to let that sit for just a minute. So we're going to be adding our sugar to our water mixture as well. Again, mix it all around. The sugar is going to help feed the yeast and really wake it up. Into our stand mixer, we're going to grab our bowl. We're going to grab our flour. We're going to start mixing our flour on our stand mixer with our dough hook attachment. So I'm going to turn on to stir. I'm slowly just going to pour this while it's mixing. Make sure you scrape out everything in case there's a little bit of yeast or sugar left over. My dough has pretty much come straight off the bowl. It's hugging the dough hook, scraping clean off it when I move it. So I'm just going to place it back into the bottom of the bowl. I'm then going to take my 10 grams of salt and add that in. So right now I'm on a medium-high speed. I'm letting the dough whip, hit the side of the bowl so it really is stretching into itself. And then I'm going to turn it down again. And I'm going to add my olive oil in. And once you have a really smooth dough, we're going to bring it over to the island and just work it slightly into a ball. So I'm just grabbing a touch more flour. I'm going to flour my work surface, just so nothing sticks while I'm working with my dough. And I'm going to really just bring it into a nice ball here. Now, this is what you would be doing with your hands. You'd be folding it and pressing it and folding it and pressing it into itself if you didn't have a stand mixer. And we're just trying to bring it into itself, form a really nice, smooth, elastic dough. And then if you take the edges of your hands, you keep them on the counter and you roll in a circular motion with your hands constant contact on the island or your work surface. It will help you create a nice ball. Take just a pinch of olive oil. You can even put it on a paper towel and grease up your bowl a little bit just so nothing sticks. Then you're going to place that into your bowl. You're going to cover that with saran wrap and let it proof for about an hour. So now I'm going to be showing you how to make a super straightforward Pomodoro sauce at home. This is my Pomodoro sauce that I use for spaghetti Pomodoro, but also Pomodoro sauce that you can put on a Margherita pizza. It is extremely straightforward and simple. So we're gonna start by blending our tomatoes in a blender. If you have a hand blender, that's perfectly fine. And you're just blending it on a high speed until it's as smooth as possible. So I have a small sauce pot here. I'm just gonna put it onto a medium-high heat, so 7 out of 10. I'm going to go in with a couple tablespoons of olive oil, just enough to coat the bottom of the pan. And then I'm going to take my garlic cloves and I'm going to add those in. So I have really nice golden brown color on each side of the garlic, which you can see here. If you're trying to get the edges, you can tilt the pan so that all the oil goes to one side and it essentially starts deep frying the garlic. And I do this at the very end just to get all the sides really nice and golden brown. Be careful at this stage though, because the garlic will go from golden brown to burnt quite quickly. So at this point, I'm happy with where my garlic is at. Really nice golden brown on all sides. It's done its work, so I'm removing it from my oil. I'm turning my flame off. Then I'm taking my tomatoes. Now, this might splatter a little bit, so be careful. What I like to do is tilt the pan and pour away from the oil because it will splatter a bit. But it will settle down quite quickly. Once your tomatoes are in and it's kind of calmed down, you can then turn your heat back on to, again, a medium-high heat. And you're going to want to keep the spatula handy just to make sure nothing's burning on the bottom, nothing's sticky on the bottom. You're going to want to constantly be scraping the bottom to make sure that it's nice and even. Grab a spoon at the very beginning, right when you add your tomatoes in, taste it. It's going to taste very bland, very watery, but I want you to taste the difference between now and when the tomatoes are cooked, and you'll be able to tell when you have cooked tomato versus raw tomato. So I've been constantly stirring, just making sure nothing's sticking to the bottom of the pan, nothing's burning. I've been on a medium-low heat for about 10 to 15 minutes, and you can see how much the sauce has thickened. It's reduced in its volume quite a bit. At this point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to season it with a pinch of salt. I'm actually going to turn it off at this point. You're going to taste a big difference from the first time you tasted it. It's a lot sweeter in flavor, a lot thicker, it's holding to the spoon a lot better. And I just woke it up with a pinch of salt. Doesn't need very much, but just a little bit of salt to wake it up. And that's it, that's Pomodoro sauce. So I'm gonna let that cool and come down to room temperature so that it's ready for when we wanna put it on our pizza dough. So this is the pizza dough. As you can see, it's pretty much doubled in size. It's been about an hour, just over an hour. What we're going to do now is we're going to roll it into individual balls and cut it into individual sized pizzas. So I'm just going to grab a little bit more flour for my work surface. And then I'm just going to break this down into about 200 gram balls. So just take a knife, give it a cut. I'm going to take this, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to pinch the edges into the middle, so all the edges into the middle. Flip it onto its backside, and then create a nice ball. And then we're going to cover that with a towel, and we're going to let those proof again for another hour. So now that we have our dough that's been portioned and proofing, you'll see it's a lot softer. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to push the air out of the dough. You can use your palm, you can use your fingers. And we're going to press the air out to the edges. And then using our index finger and our thumb on each hand, we're going to create a rim. So I'm pressing and guiding with my right and following with my left. And I'm creating a nice rim that will turn into your crust. Also is a guideline for you when you're stretching the pizza. So now that I have my rim created, I'm going to grab a little bit of semolina. Now the semolina is going to help give you a really nice texture on the bottom. It's also going to help you while you're stretching. And what I'm doing is with my tips of my fingers inside that rim I just created, I'm stretching with my right hand, and I'm guiding with my left and shaping. And if you feel like your shaping is off, you can always pick it up, reshape it, reform your rim, and you can continue to even stretch it in the air. Let natural gravity pull the dough and stretch it. If you find a really thin area where there's a hole, which you can see a tiny little hole here, you can pick up the dough, place it on top, and just give it a little press, kind of fix that. Now, I don't want too much of that semolina from the counter to be on the bottom because I don't want it to burn. So when you pick it up, give it a little shake, make sure that excess falls off. Now, we don't need a crazy amount of this because we don't want it to be so heavy, just enough to give us a thin layer of sauce around the bottom. Take your cheese. If you have shredded cheese, that's fine. If you have cubes of cheese, you can just kind of break them and place them around the pizza. And then just a little drizzle of olive oil, just a little drizzle of olive oil before it goes in the oven. Oh, it's looking really nice and bubbly and golden. Now, just to finish, I'm going to take my finishing salt, sprinkle a good amount of finishing salt on there. I'm going to take a couple leaves of basil for garnish. That's going to give it a really nice, fragrant freshness to it. Also give it a really nice color pop. I'm going to grate some Parmesan on top, give it a really nice salty, creamy finish as well. And then finally, a little drizzle of olive oil over top. We're gonna let this rest for just a couple minutes to come back to life. It's got a pretty nice hold to it. Nice thin crust. Awesome Margherita pizza at home. I hope you guys enjoy. Thank you so much. Follow me on social media at Justin Friedlich. I'll see you guys soon.